Okay, so right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you one of my techniques, the full Auxmen technique, that allows me to quickly, out of any sound, get more width, depth, transient, or center focus using 4 parallel auxes that I can drive a signal into at any time to get that. Let's get to it. Okay, so quickly, before I go into actually showing you all the things about the technique and stuff, let's just let you hear what it sounds like. So right now I have this particular song. Check this out. It is very unmixed, just a rough song. Please don't judge me. It's one of my own songs. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to focus in on this sound right here. Cool. Now what I'm gonna do is, say for instance, I say, I want more transients out of that particular sound. I'm gonna take this particular aux right here. I'm gonna drive the transients up, and then I'm gonna bypass it back and forth in the context of the mix so you can hear it. So if I said I want more transients right now, this is the aux that I'm gonna go to, the transient aux. So check this out. Now let's do that within the music, bypassing it back and forth. Cool, so that's the transient aux. If I quickly want more transients out of a sound, I can go to that aux and get more transients out of it. I'm gonna explain all of those auxes, don't worry, but I just want you to hear what each one sounds like. Next one, let's go on over to this center focus aux. This center focus aux, you're gonna notice that the center focus, that mono kind of feel, that up the middle feel is gonna get a lot more accentuated, and you're gonna notice that the whole sound, as far as what I have in it, is gonna come more forward. So, hear it in solo first. Now within the music, muted first. So that is giving me a little bit more center focus out of the sound. Moving on, I'm going to explain all of these. Remember, I'm going to explain all of these in a second. Now let's move on over to the width aux. And with the width aux, self-explanatory. It's going to give me a little bit more width on the sound. So unlike the center focus one that you heard, giving me more sound in the center kind of mono channel kind of vibe as far as up here, you're going to notice that in the stereo field, you're going to notice a little bit more of a pick-me-up in the stereo field as far as the sound. So instead of feeling this up the middle, you're going to feel more this outside as I pick this up. So let's turn it down, solo first. Okay, cool. Now within context of the music, muted first. So you felt it get bigger on the outside as opposed to with the center aux, you felt it get bigger in the center. Now, just to go a step further to put your ear on it, let's go to the width bus and let's go to a melodic sound. So I'm gonna go to this particular sound right here, which I'll mute. So check out what this sound is. This is this sound. And now let's add width to that particular sound using the same aux that we have here. So I'm gonna take this off and then I'm gonna turn it up. Check out the width on this. Now within context with some music, mute it. I need love and affection. This ain't a lesson. I need love and affection. This ain't a lesson. I need love and affection. This ain't a... Cool. And I'm going to explain what that width aux is doing in the whole nine. It's not what you think as far as just static width. I'll explain later. Okay, so that's that. Last one I want to show you is the Depth Aux. Now, I'll be honest, recently I'm not using the Depth Aux so much, being that I have the black vortex now. I just put that on, and if I want a little bit more depth or pushback within an instrument sound or melody or just any sound in general, I'll just use my black vortex and push it back. But I still have it in my four Auxmen Technique, which I'll leave a link in the description below. You can get it at any time if you want. I really appreciate it. It supports the channel. I'm going to show you what the Depth Aux sounds like. So let's turn it way down. We're going to go back to that percussion loop. And basically, I'm just going to turn it up, listen to what the Depth Aux is doing. Again, I am using black vortex now to do this, though. Cool, and now within context with some music. I need love and affection. This ain't a lesson. I need love and affection. This ain't a lesson. I need love and affection. This ain't a lesson. I need love and affection. Now, depth was always the most subtle of all of the knobs, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something very subtle that gave me a little bit of a pushback on a particular sound, and it was always made to be subtle. That's also why Black Vortex is very subtle, but I've dialed things in a certain way with Black Vortex that I love to death. But nonetheless, it is in the Auxmen Technique. Now, what the heck is this? How does this thing work? How is it set up? And what is the whole mindset behind it? I want to be very clear. I'm a very big fan of Michael Brauer. He has a method called his Brauerized method. In no way, shape, or form is this his method at all. I was very inspired by his Brauerized method as far as his mindset of creating auxes that did things in parallel to the mix. I thus said to myself, wow, the possibilities are endless with that. And so I came up with this technique inspired by him. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that this is the Brauerized method in any way. This is just something that I was inspired by seeing someone that I look up to a lot. And I want to be very clear. I believe you can get his Brauerized method as far as his template at Pure Mix online. You can check that out. But I just wanted to give that disclaimer and just be very clear on what this is and what Michael Brauer's is, who I respect very much. Michael, I'm a very big fan and just wanted to say that out loud. Okay, so long story short, how do I have this whole thing set up? So like I told you before, it is set up with parallel auxes. So each one of these processes, depth, width, mono, center, focus, transient, are all set up in a parallel setup as far as the four Auxmen. That's why we call it the four Auxmen. I'm going to go through each single aux and give you an understanding of what each aux is under the hood, how it works, and why I went about it the way I did. Okay, so let's go to probably my favorite one besides width on this, and that is my mono center channel. And what the mono center focus does is it allows me to get more of that center focus out of a sound. A lot of times I would say to myself, man, it has a nice sound. I feel the whiff on it and things of that nature, but I just want more of a center focus, kind of what I like for vocals or a kick, for instance. And so it got me thinking. So what the aux is, as far as the mono center channel, is two things. It is a parallel compressor, which I have a DBX here. These are my settings for it. And then the next plugin I have is an ozone imager that is completely in mono. So I'm assuring that anything that comes through this aux, it's parallel compressed to snot, and then there is an imager at the end of it that completely puts it in mono, and then that is what is coming in parallel to the other sound. I'm very aware of phase and things of that nature when you're doing parallel processes, so please be mindful of that and things of that nature when you're doing this stuff. Listen for it. That's a whole nother tutorial. Okay, so those are the two plugins that are on the mono center aux. Now that I put your ear on it and you know what it is, check this out on something like a kick. And I think this is going to make a lot of sense as far as what you're hearing now in that regard. So. So you can see that this is a parallel process signal that is smashed, and then the imager at the end of that is in mono, and so we're getting that combination and we're getting that center focus. And I created it with that mono imager at the end because I thought to myself, well, when it comes to instruments, sometimes I do crave that mono kind of center focus out of an instrument as well, like a guitar or something that's very wide. Maybe I want a little bit more of the center of it. And so that's why I created it this way. If I do it with this sim sound, you'll notice. So that's the center aux. It has that very, very focused kind of sound. It's parallel compressed. It has a parallel compressor on it to kind of keep things tight. And it's like a ball of audio that just goes in the center. Works on vocals, anything you desire. But the word center focus really makes me think to myself what I use it for the most part. Moving on. Okay. Next aux that I'm going to go over to is the transient. And the transient one is ridiculously simple. And all it is a spiff plugin. And what the spiff is doing is basically accentuating those transients, the clickiness of the sound. And so when I put that on in parallel, I'm getting that sound of those transients on top of the original signal, and I'm getting a little bit of that transient sound. Beautiful thing about this is the more I drive the original signal with the aux, I get more transients and more accentuation out of the actual spiff. So let's go to this percussion sound. Now that you have this on your mind, let's open up the transients right here. Let's open up spiff. Let's go here. And now take a look at this. So that's basically all this is. It is listening to information and it is deciding how much transients it's accentuating depending on that level or that voltage that I push into the actual aux, which was perfect as far as the setup. So I felt like spiff just had the right sound for me, and this was a curve that I kind of landed on as far as how I wanted it to give that transient, and you can see it right here. Again, link in the description if you just want the 4 auxes in a template. It's in the link in the description below for pretty much all the DAWs, the major DAWs for the most part. Studio One, we got you, don't worry. CUBASE, we got you. All the major DAWs is there. FL, Ableton, Pro Tools, you know the vibes. Okay, cool. So that's the transient aux, really, really simple. The next one I'll go to is the width aux. This is the most difficult aux of all of them. Some of you may be thinking that this aux is created with just static width. And why I keep saying static. Instead, I said to myself, what if I just had width that was focused on transient information, not the sustain? What the heck am I saying? Basically, I wanted to create a width sound that was dynamic. So I wanted this aux to be dynamic width, something that reacted to level and voltage as opposed to just everything is wide at all the time. I felt like if I just accentuated width on transient information, when transients hit, I got a little bit of width. I felt like that would also make the sound feel like it breathes a bit more and it feels a little bit more natural in that regard. And it also gives me a wider sound without making it feel so static and still. I wanted dynamic width. And this is what this aux that I've created is, just dynamic width. So without getting into the gain staging and gain structure of this plugin, just know that this is here. The reason why you see this crank to plus 12 as far as a trim plugin to push into it is because I needed to make sure that I hit this aux a certain way in order to get that optimal signal that I wanted out of it. So let's go to this particular sound right here, which is the perk loop, which is this. Cool. And now let's open up the first plugin besides me driving into this. And like I said, you can have it, you can download it for yourself. What this first stage is going to do is it's going to be Pro Q3. And in the Pro Q3, it's only accentuating kind of like that side information. And it's going to be accentuating side information every time that it feels certain things over the threshold. So this is me trying to grab transients and just only kind of give excitement to like transient information for the most part. So check this out. So you can hear when it's a, like that is what is being situated in the side information when it feels that cross that threshold. It took a long time to dial this in a certain way that just kind of worked on mostly most material for me. This also works on pianos and all kinds of instruments and stuff like that. But like I said, I just drive signal into it to really get it to react. So that's the first one. Next one is this. And this is probably the secret behind the whole thing. In the Ozone Imager, what it allows you to do is it allows you to choose if you want to accentuate the width of the transients or the sustain of the sound. When I saw that, that's what blew my mind. That's what opened my mind to this dynamic width kind of thing. And so that's where I went with it. Ironically, the preset in it is called dynamic width. I believe that is the preset that's in it. And that's what made me go, oh my gosh, like that's such a great idea. Why didn't I try to accentuate that more? So here's where I landed with it as far as creating this dynamic width. And so it's really just grabbing transient information. And when it's hearing that transient information, it's giving that width material to it. Now, someone at Ozone, if you're way smarter than me, please correct me if I'm wrong. But nonetheless, that's how my ear perceived it. And that's why I went with it. So check this out. I also engaged the stereo rise and things of that nature on here just to give me that sound that I desired. I really just listened to it and just decided, oh, this felt the best to me. So that's that as far as what it's creating on that end. Just grabbing transients and accentuating them for the most part for me as far as what I'm hearing. Still applying mono signal as far as the low end and stuff like that and keeping that stuff intact as well for phase reasons. Next thing I did was I added this Center One plugin. And what I'm doing with the Center One plugin is I'm adding side information straight up. Everything from 300 hertz and above, I'm boosting side information in the entire sound. So although I am accentuating transients, there is a little bit of a static sound of width that is also being accentuated too, about 2 dB in parallel with the sound. So that's there as well. And then the very last thing, I'm turning it back down -12. This is for purposes of gain staging as far as everything. It's a long story about why I did +12 up top and then -12 to bring it back down to that marginal level. But I needed to make sure that any signal that I drove into it, there was enough of a push to accentuate the transients and make it dynamic and things of that nature. So that's why you're seeing a massive push in and then a massive turn down after to compensate that. So it's still at a level volume of what it was before. Cool. So that's the Width Aux as far as everything is concerned. Last but most certainly not least, I have the Depth Aux. And to be honest with you, I think when I created this Depth Aux, this is what made me want to really make the Black Vortex, because I was looking for a plugin that gave me depth and I just couldn't find one that was just nailed it every time, if that made any sense, or had the things that I really wanted in it as far as under the hood. But in the meantime, before I made Black Vortex, link in the description, shameless plug, what I did was I would use this combination. So I would use this Abbey Road Chambers reverb. This is a very underrated reverb, by the way. And I would have this room depth kind of preset on and use this in tandem with Soothe to kind of make sure that I wasn't kind of bringing up some more a lot of that resonance frequencies that I knew was going to be in parallel with the original. And so this is what I came up with. So on the depth. So let's go here. Sorry about that. Let's open up the depth. Let's come over here. Let's let you take a look at how this soothe is reacting. Check this out. And I would always use this depth knob in a very subtle way. It was always the most subtle knob. I didn't want something that was just outlandish and just out of this world. I wanted something that was very subtle and gave me that flat sound and just gave it a little bit of a layer and a little bit of depth to it. And that's why I came up with that one. The soothe is there to just calm things down and keep things in check. And then I'm using, obviously, the Abbey Road chambers to basically give me a little bit of a sensation of those reflections and things of that nature with stuff. And that's basically the premise of it. But once again, I'm using Black Vortex these days. I'm barely using that depth knob. But nonetheless, if you don't have it, this is a great alternative, perhaps, to use. It's so weird because it's like, whatever, you get it. But nonetheless, this is the 4 Auxmen Technique. So for the most part, that is my entire 4 Auxmen Technique. I use this on a ton of different things. Sometimes I may just use the width, or I may just use the mono center, etc., depending on the material as far as what I want out of a mix. If I say to myself, man, I really wish this had more transients, guess what I do? I just reach for my transient aux, and I give that a little bit of a parallel sound with whatever the sound in particular is. And that goes for the other stuff as well. So really hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, if that was confusing in any way, please let me know. This is not a simple trick at all. Again, if you would like to just go ahead and go in the link in the description below, you can actually get the 4 Auxmen Technique on my site at helpmedevvon.com. We have it there for most major DAWs. And again, I want to let you know that I really appreciate Michael Brower, the Brow-Rise method and things of that nature. I highly implore y'all to also look up his Brow-Rise method and his style as far as how he thinks and things of that nature. I'll put a link in the description below actually for a video that I find on that as well. He has a whole other thing that he's doing as far as his setup and things of that nature. But I was very inspired by seeing him do that. And yeah, and so here's where I landed. But nonetheless, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And again, you can go to helpmedevvon.com at any time and get the 4 Auxmen Technique. It would really help a lot with supporting the channel, and I really appreciate y'all so much. I hope it helps y'all. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. Comments below. Till next time.